Hi everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today I've got a meals prep and ideas video for you all. Some family friendly weeknight dinners or meals just to make life a lot easier. Basically this was done over last month, the meals that we had here and there for dinner or maybe for lunch, and there's a couple of like little desserts in there as well. I hope this gives you some inspiration and just some ideas. I think it's important just to get ideas and then you can make the best of it. Just basically making do with what you've got, these meals are, and you can change them any way you want. So firstly, I'll be starting with just this chocolate cake. I have already made it. I just filmed what it looked like. I got this from my sister-in-law for Christmas. She always brings me over Trader Joe things from America. And this is the chocolate peppermint one, and it was absolutely delicious. There's no icing needed, but it was just like a candy cane. Absolutely love these ones. The last one she brought me over was like a pumpkin spice one, which I have in the cupboard as well, which I'll make next time. But this is just absolutely beautiful. Unfortunately, we don't have Trader Joe's here in Australia. I filmed a little bit of me making lunchboxes for you all. I haven't done a whole video on that. I will try and get that done at some point. But this is my youngest boy's lunchbox. He's got an up and go, a snack and some cheese rings. Every day is different with my kids, you know, depending on what I've got in the cupboard or the freezer or whatever. He's having he's having a ham sandwich and there'd be mustard on that as well. And also I've got some oranges because they really like cut up oranges in their lunch boxes, which is good. So every day they usually have oranges in their lunch boxes or mandarin. And I did find some lamington. This is like a lamington from the bakery. So I've chopped up that and given him half of it because I know he won't eat all of it. And the new thing for my kids is having sliced up cucumber with olives and bocconcini if I've got it as well. They absolutely love this as a little snack. You could put tomatoes in it and make it a quick little salad as well. Really healthy for them. And he's also going to be taking a banana. My oldest boy will be taking the chicken roast crinkle cut chips. He's got a little snack and he's got an up and go. And he's basically got the same thing. So he's got oranges cut up. He's got a sandwich which has got mustard, which is the grain mustard and the ham. He's got the cucumber and olives. I didn't have the bocconcini like while I was making that, but usually I do put bocconcini in there for them, and just the rest of the lamington. So it's not bad. He's got a few little processed things as well, but most of the time they do eat healthy. This day he wasn't taking a banana, but usually he takes a banana as well. So pretty much that's what my kids' lunchboxes look like most days. They don't always have up and goes, and sometimes they'll have a yogurt instead of the up and go. I do try and give them the fruit, the vegetables, the protein, and the dairy as well, but it's not always easy if you don't have it. But I usually do make a homemade cake or something in there. On this particular day, I'm making a vegetable soup. This is one of those recipes, like I said, where you're just making do with what you've got. Basically, any vegetable. You don't have to go out and just get these particular vegetables that I've got. This is just what I had at the time. I do usually put sweet potato in soups and things too because it makes it really thick. But yeah, whatever you can find in the fridge is fine, or even just some frozen veggies is just as good as well. I'm going to chop up these vegetables and then I'll show you the next ingredients I'll be adding. the best things you can do also is cut up your vegetables the night before. That's what I've done. I've cut up celery and beans the night before just to make life a little bit easier the next day. And if you've just got a spare 15 minutes at night time and you know what you're cooking the next day, preparing the vegetables and the meat if you can is a great idea, even like cutting up chicken. So what I'm doing here is I've soaked the lentils overnight. They're brown lentils. Sometimes I use the orange ones and they cook a lot quicker, but I wanted to have the brown lentils because they hold their form a lot better in this sort of thing. So these have been soaked overnight just to make them a little bit tender. And then I'm going to put it all into the pressure cooker. If you've got a pressure cooker, that's great because, it's great for nutrients and it's also a lot quicker. But if you don't, you can also just do it any other way with a pot on the stove. So I'm going to pop the lid on it and just cook it for half an hour, and then I'll see what it looks like after that. Okay, so I've just opened the pressure cooker up again to have a look. I've had it on for 30 minutes. It's really thick, and I'm pretty sure I'm just going to see if the lentils are cooked because they're the main thing. The lentils are nice and soft. Everything's going well in there, except I'm waiting for groceries to come. And I've got some chicken stock in the groceries. So once that comes, I'm going to pour some chicken stock in here, make it not as thick, and put it back on for probably another 30 minutes, and that'll be just perfect. So this pressure cooker's probably not as hot as the old one I used to have, which I used to cook it, have one I paid for about $200. I paid about $200 for one I used to cook on the hot plate in the kitchen, and it was brilliant. This one's more of an electric one, and I think it's got a few problems. Like, it works and everything, but I think it's lost a lot of heat over the years. I probably should throw it out. But or it just might not be as powerful. But I'm going to put it on for another 30 minutes once I get the chicken stock, like I said, and we're done. I've got a nice vegetable soup for the next couple of days, which is what I need the kids to eat because they love vegetable soup. They'll eat it, you know what I mean? Like, there's no problem with it. They put a bit of Worcestershire sauce in it, pepper and salt, and they'll eat it with some bread. So yeah, okay, so I'll be back soon when I get the chicken stock. So here you have a really hearty vegetable soup. You can put beef in it or chicken. I just kept them out this time because sometimes we just like it vegetable. But, I have put the lentils in it to make it more substantial and more filling. And some fresh bread and butter to have with our homemade soup. On this particular night, Derek and I together were making a tuna pasta, but a creamy tuna pasta. If you don't like tuna, which not a lot of people like tuna, but you can always use like some cut up chicken or something like that. So basically we're going to make a roux. So we've got butter because I just sort of eyeball it. So we're putting in some plain flour and some butter and just, cooking it up basically, but really mixing it up so it doesn't go hard into a dry old ball like it can. And then you just gently sort of add the milk a little bit at a time and beat it up until you get like a thick sauce, and you can put some pepper and salt. I used to put like bay leaves with it to really give it a nice taste, and you can use this for lasagna or anything, but there's lots of recipes on making a roux online, but I just sort of eyeball it. Like I said, I don't have the right measurements as such, and I'm using macaroni because the kids really love macaroni, so I just thought I'd make it a luxury macaroni for them, and we'll put the tuna in it just to make it nicer. So we're putting capsicum and shallots in. Derek's just chopped up. I'm putting that into the white sauce as well and mixing it all up together till I can get it really, really thick. And then I'm going to be just adding in a few slices of cheese. I think we ended up putting in about 4 slices. Derek just kept on putting them in. And I was telling him, no, don't put any more cheese in. But, we've turned it into, instead of a white sauce, it's more of a cheese sauce now. And, it doesn't really matter. Either way you like it, it'll work out in the end. So mix that up and make it thick. And then we're going to put the pasta together. So I'm making just a White Wings chocolate cake. The White Wings chocolate cake's really nice. I find that the icing on it tastes really good, and this would have been on special. That's why I would have picked it up. And I'm going to be putting cream in the middle of it as well. This was the day before the cyclone, the night before the cyclone. So I'm calling this my cyclone cake. I cooked half of it, like I cooked it the night before the cyclone, and then the next day I was going to ice it, which I did manage to do. Buying a packet mix cake is just so simple. There's nothing wrong with it either, especially with how expensive ingredients are nowadays. So these are always a good thing to have in the cupboard as a standby. You know, like I do like making homemade cakes from scratch, but these are great, you know, and the kids eat them and they're cheap. So let's go put all these ingredients together and bake this cake. So I just filmed this little bit here. We had no electricity for hours when the cyclone hit, and we were staying at our neighbour's house because our house nearly flooded. We ended up coming back and just boiling some water for a cup of tea. So now I'm going to be just doing the cream. This is the next day now, and we all had a terrible morning, like with the cyclone and the horrible events that occurred in our whole community, and it was just been just a terrible day so far. I was extremely exhausted at this point with the stress of it all morning, and trying to keep the kids calm and not knowing what was going to go on. But I just thought it'd be nice to put this cake together for the family. You know, there's nothing like some nice chocolate cake to make you feel better. So I'm going to pick up where I left off last night and make this chocolate cake. And I also forgot to tell you too that I'm using just a grill on my oven at the moment. My oven isn't working, so I'm using a grill setting. And as you can see, it's obviously not ideal for baking cakes, but we're just going to do the best I can with what I've got. There's nothing like an easy night's meal, and I'm making fried rice on this night. It is really easy. I cut up the bacon the night before. Like I said, I do try and prep the meat or the vegetables or both the night before if I can, even just a little bit, even if it's just cutting up the bacon or cutting up chicken. Anything helps for the next day. You just never know what the next day is going to bring. So I'm going to fry off the bacon. I use my wok, my electric wok, for cooking most things like stir fries and fried rice. It's so quick and easy. It gets really hot really quickly. So another technique that I've got here is just cooking up a heap of rice and freezing it into snap lock bags. Sometimes I use the small snap lock bags for one person, but I've used the bigger ones sometimes if it's a family or a couple of people or whatever. So that just takes the hard work out of making a fried rice. It's already ready to go. So I'm going to sort of defrost that, and then I'm going to add it to the rice. So I don't have to, put the cooker on to make some rice. So once this is all fried up, we'll add the rice. This doesn't require a lot of ingredients, fried rice. Like, you can go to the extreme and put whatever you want in it. But if it's a quick, easy family meal, just limited amount of ingredients is all you need. So I'm really going to be just using, the bacon and the frozen vegetables for this meal. I used to cut up my own vegetables or grate them, but I didn't have a great deal on this night, and I wanted to make it quick. So I'm going to put the frozen veggies in now after I've taken the bacon out, just so I don't overload the cooker, because you can't put too much in the wok because it won't work as well. But like I said, it just gets up to heat so well, and it cooks everything quickly and precisely. I've made this recipe a few times on my channel in the past, but today I'm going to be just making some breadcrumbs. I'm going to be making a meatloaf, a really quick and simple meatloaf. Sometimes I used to cook them up and freeze them, so we had them for the week. That's in some of my Fill Your Freezer Friday videos. I used to do that. But I've got no breadcrumbs, so I had to just put a couple of slices of bread in the Ninja, whatever works. So I'm using 1 carrot. I didn't film the part when I was grating it up. I thought it was on there, but it wasn't. So I have grated 1 carrot, as you can see in the bowl there, and I'm just using one onion. I obviously didn't have a great deal of ingredients in the fridge at this point. So like I said, I'm just making do with what I've got. And I think that's the way, the way to sort of make meals and keep them on a budget as well. And it just spins it out on every other meal that you need to make. But I probably would have put a few more ingredients in if I had them, but this is all I sort of needed anyway, because this meatloaf really doesn't last that long. It will possibly get mostly eaten on that night. There might be maybe one slice for the next day, and we can maybe put it on a sandwich with some gravy or something like that. But meatloaf is a great option. It's a cheap option. The only thing is mince has gone up so much nowadays, but you can just, it's versatile. And like I said, you can make do with what you've got, put what you want in it. So I'm using 500 grams of a 3-star beef mince from Aldi, and I did have to use breadcrumbs. Sometimes I don't use breadcrumbs, but I wanted it to go a little bit further. I'm just putting some tomato sauce in it. Some people use barbecue sauce, but whatever you've got. And usually I do put some Worcestershire sauce, which I'm doing now in there. Absolutely love Worcestershire. I put it on everything and put it in everything, even like on my eggs, everything. I love it. And just some frozen veg. What would we do without frozen veggies? I mean, they're so simple and easy. So just a few veggies in there, and the blended up breadcrumbs that I made. That's all I've got there, and that's all I need for this recipe. And basically it's just mixing it up in a big bowl and putting it together, molding it together and putting it on a tray. You can put some cheese on top of it if you want to before it goes into the oven. In my case, it's going into a grill because my oven's not working. But I'm just going to put some sauce over the top of it just to make the top of it go sticky and to finish it off. Now, as a side plate, I don't have any potatoes, but I do have some whole baby potatoes in the can, and these are great, so versatile. I'm just going to be warming these up with a little bit of butter, and I'm going to be topping it off with some shallots. Sometimes I used to just make like potato salad with it, put some mayonnaise and some shallots and parsley and things like that with it. I used to put some vinegar in them, all sorts of things, but they're so good to have in the cupboard in case you don't have any potatoes, and you can do anything you want with them, really. So basically that's as easy as it is. We've got the meatloaf, and I've already put all the vegetables in the meatloaf, like I said, so it does look a bit bare, the plate, but this was a really delicious and easy meal for the family. Now, everyone sort of started the pizzas before I could start filming it. So the kids are cooking this tonight, and I'm just going to film it. We've chopped up everything for them. That makes it a lot easier, so it's not so time consuming. They have put some frankfurts on there because we didn't have any other meat, which I thought was a pretty good idea. It does taste a little bit like cabanossi when it's cooked. We've got mushrooms, olives. We've got some jalapenos on there, and we're going to put pineapple on there and cheese, but we are using the pizza sauce. If you don't have that, you can just use tomato paste, and that's basically it. That's just that bag of pizza bases that I buy. Sometimes I think you get like 10 or so. They work out really cheap, and they're so easy, and sometimes you can just put them in the air fryer because they're just the right size. But tonight, because we're cooking them for the family, we're cooking them on a baking tray in our grill. So that's pretty much an easy Friday night dinner for everyone, and always the kids are happy to have pizzas on a Friday night homemade. They actually really enjoy putting all the different toppings on and making their own pizza. So my son has been making these chocolate drinks for a while now, and he wanted me to film it. He's using a chocolate fudge from Coles. This is really delicious, but he usually uses the thick and rich chocolate topping, just the ice cream topping, but we didn't have any left. So we've got a little hand mixer from Temu here, which is a necessity to use. He said you have to use this, and because the fudge was a lot thicker than the chocolate topping, it didn't work as well. But the whole idea is to dip it into the topping and spin the chocolate rings around the glass like he's doing. It didn't work as perfect as it does with the chocolate topping because this is the fudge and it's a lot thicker. But like I said, we just didn't have any and we had a fair bit of this left, so we thought we'd give it a go. The fudge is like really delicious in this milk. So that's all it is just putting the chocolate topping into the glass and spinning it around, and then I'll show you what he does to complete it all. He's going to be using like some mint ice cream because that's all we had, but vanilla ice cream would be perfect, or chocolate. And even if you had like some of that whipped cream, the spray cream over the top would be even more delicious. Okay, I just thought I'd show you my quick and easy little meal through the day. I've got some bocconcini. We love bocconcini. The kids absolutely love it in their lunch boxes. So I've put some Himalayan salt on it and some pepper. And I've just poached 2 eggs, which I've put Worcestershire sauce on because I love Worcestershire sauce on my eggs. Gone a bit yellow there because I fried it in olive oil, which I usually do. So yeah, love poached eggs and some bocconcini. So that should be a nice little lunch for me for the day.